been ridiculous. You just don't realize it. All right. Should we check out another clip?
Yep.
All right. Back to our good friend, Shabir Ali.
So we must now think back to that time and how it is different from our present time. In our present time, we have the Quran coming at the end of a long period of historical progression leading to our present time. And in our present time, we have people who are specialized in the Quran. They devote their lives to studying the Quran. So they have every tool and apparatus at their disposal to make sure that they're reciting the Quran in a very precise way. And we want to insist on the precise recitation, because if everybody goes changing the Quran this way and that way, eventually it can go way out of whack, and one would lose the essential message. However, this situation that we encounter now is different from the situation in the lifetime of the Prophet Muhammad, on whom be peace. In our present situation, we lay a great emphasis on preserving the Quran letter for letter, word for word, because we want to make sure that nobody's going to change it. In the time of the Prophet Muhammad, on whom be peace, the most important impetus was to ensure that the message of the Quran would be absorbed and put into practice and taught to others. So the precise words, which are the vehicles through which the important teachings are being disseminated, were not so important. The teachings were important, but the precise words to preserve them were not of paramount importance. They did not trump in importance the need for the message of the Quran to be absorbed, to be practiced, and to be taught by others.
Wow, wow, wow. Wow. Wow, 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 wow. So now we're moving into Shabir's second explanation. So the first explanation for why you have these different versions of the Quran is that you had different ahruf, which we don't know what that means, but maybe it means dialects, but we can't say. The word means edges or letters. The Quran is revealed in 7 letters or 7 edges, and we don't know what it means. One theory is that it refers to dialects, when it can't actually mean dialects, because people who spoke the same dialect had differences as well. So that's one part, but that's one part of it. That's one part of why there are different versions of the Quran. The second explanation from Shabir here is that while Muslims today are obsessed with the precise wording of the Quran, during the time of Muhammad, they didn't care so much. Their main focus was to get you to understand the message and the command that's being given to you. So, you have to pray, or you have to do this, or you have to do that. The main thrust was getting the gist across, right? Just get the gist. Just get the idea here. You don't need to learn precise wording. Who cares about that? Who cares about the precise wording of the Quran? So notice, if you're understanding what Shabir is doing here, he's basically saying that Muhammad would reveal it to his companions. Muhammad would reveal a verse to his companions. His companions would then go tell other Muslims who aren't right there what Muhammad said, and they're not saying exactly what he said. They're just giving the kind of meaning. Oh yeah, he said we need to pray, right? But these other Muslims would memorize it in the way that was told to them, not the precise way that Muhammad revealed it. And so what they ended up with was those Muslims who heard the Quran from so-and-so, who heard it from so-and-so, who heard it from so-and-so, they're not reciting it the way Muhammad revealed to it. They're reciting it in a different way. And what happened after that was, they memorized it in this way. They memorized the Quran in a way that didn't come from Muhammad. It came from someone who's just kind of giving them the gist of the meaning. And Shabir's going to go on to say that later they had to deal with this, because now people have the Quran memorized in all these different ways. And that's why Uthman has to crack down and say, well, we need to do away with all these other ways of reciting the Quran that just give the gist of the meaning and not the precise wording. So notice, Muslims of the world, according to what Shabir Ali is telling you here, it's Muslims today who are obsessed with precise wording. During the time of Muhammad, no, just get the basic idea. Get the basic idea of what the Quran is saying, and that's enough for you. And you can memorize the basic idea rather than the precise wording. What are your thoughts on this, Hatun?
Just a question. What is this like message of Quran is? I really still don't understand the message of Quran, which early Muslims had to focus on. Like that's just something question mark in my mind. But so today we've got printing press. Today we've got check Google. If the words of the Quran is being changed, it is very easy to spot it and then correct it. But in 7th century, we didn't have that luxury. So I would think, yeah, it should be more important in 7th century versus in 21st century. But according to Shabir, people didn't care about dot by dot, letter by letter, sound by sound, word by word application of the Quran. But in 21st century now, since we've got check Google, since we've got printing press, we need to know what it is, dot by dot, sound by sound, letter by letter thing is.
Yeah, so everyone, I hope you're getting all of this, because notice, according to Shabir's theory, the Quran gets more clear over the centuries than it was at the beginning, right? It starts off as a jumbled mess in 7 different dialects where they're giving 7 different versions of the Quran, even though we don't even know what those versions are, even if they apply to dialects. But there are these 7 different ways of the Quran. The Quran is revealed in 7 different ways. And in addition to that problem, separately from it, people didn't have to memorize any precise wording, even of those 7 different ways of reciting the Quran. They could just memorize the important point or the gist, and they could actually memorize it and recite it, because the important thing was to understand what Allah is telling you to do, not any sort of precise memorization of the Quran. It's later Muslims who become obsessed with getting the Quran exactly right, but Muhammad's own generation, the generation of Muhammad and his companions, they didn't care about the precise wording so much. So notice, it's later Muslims who decide what the precise wording is. And they have to say, no, we think you are just quoting the gist. We think you are quoting one of the different ahruf. So let's go with this one. And they do this over time until you finally get down to the 1924 Cairo edition of the Quran, and they finally figured out what the real Quran is. And that's the one that's been perfectly preserved for all time. Guys, do you understand what a mess this is? This is a mess. It starts off as a mess. It's still a mess today. And Muslim leaders are saying there's no mess here, perfect preservation. Everyone knows it. Everyone believes it.
لكل مسلم في الجنة حوريتين، هذا أقل شيء. كل حورية لها 70 وصيفة معها. الحورية حلالك والوصيفة حلالك. ولكل امرأة من أهل الدنيا دخلت الجنة 70 حورية. فترتيب نساء الجنة 4. أول شيء امرأة الدنيا، هذه رقم 1، معها 70 حورية. ثاني شيء الحورية، معها 70 وصيفة. الثالث الوصيفة، 3 أنواع، عفوا 3 أنواع. النساء في الجنة 3 أنواع. تزوج في الدنيا بزوجة، فعندك واحدة زوجة، زوجتك اللي في الدنيا، ثم 70 حورية معها حلالك، ثم مع كل حورية 70 وصيفة. أصبح كم عندك من امرأة؟ هذا أقل واحد. طيب لو فرضنا عندك 4 زوجات، مع كل واحدة 70 حورية، مع كل حورية 70 وصيفة، كم صار الجميع؟ أعانكم الله. في ذلك اللقاء مدته 70 سنة. 70 سنة من سنوات الدنيا هذا اللقاء الواحد. فإذا كملت ما يقارب 70 سنة تناديك حوريتك الثانية من درجة فوق درجتك: يا عبد الله، يا ولي الله، أليس لنا فيك نصيب؟ فترفع بصرك فإذا هي أجمل من اللي عندك. تقول لها: من أنت رحمك الله؟ تقول: أنا حوريتك في الجنة، أنا التي ذكرني الله عز وجل لك وقال ولدينا مزيد، أنا من المزيد. تترك هذه وتروح للثانية، أعانك الله. تجلس وياها حول 70 سنة، شوي تناديك الثالثة: يا عبد الله، ليس لنا فيك نصيب؟ تنظر فإذا هي أجمل من اللي عندك.
absolutely trashed.